Dad left me at 9 to vacation with his new wife, whisking her off to Maui while I rotted in a foster home that smelled like stale cigarettes and regret. Years later, when their empire of lies finally cracked open like a rotten eggshell, they had no choice but to call me the daughter they discarded like yesterday's trash. And when I showed up at their doorstep, knife in my smile and ghosts in my eyes, I whispered the words that started it all. You owe me my life back, or I'll burn yours to the ground. I remember the exact moment the call came through. It was a Tuesday in late October, the kind of Chicago autumn where the wind bites like it's got a personal grudge. I was hunkered down in my one-bedroom walk-up in Wicker Park, the radiator hissing like an old man complaining about the cold. My phone buzzed on the scarred oak desk, the screen lighting up with a number I hadn't seen in 18 years. Blocked, deleted, exorcised from my contacts. But I knew it by heart, the area code for the Gold Coast, that gilded cage where the rich pretend they're invincible. Isla. His voice cracked on my name, like saying it aloud might summon the devil. It was Dad, or whatever was left of him after decades of boardroom battles and bourbon nights. Richard Harlan, once the king of Harlan Investments, now reduced to a plea from the shadows. Yeah, I said, my thumb hovering over the end call button. The apartment was silent except for the distant wail of an L train. I'd spent the morning staring at case files from my job at the public defender's office. Kids like I used to be, tangled in systems that chewed them up and spat out bones. What the hell do you want, Richard? A pause, heavy as the Lake Michigan fog rolling in. I need to see you. It's urgent. Family business. Family. The word landed like a sucker punch. The last time he'd uttered it, I was 9, standing in the driveway of our Evanston split level, watching taillights fade as his Cadillac devoured the horizon. Mom had died 2 years prior. Cancer. Quick and merciless. And he'd married Elena 6 months later. Elena Voss, the viper in silk, with her razor-sharp cheekbones and a laugh that could cut glass. She'd convinced him I was baggage, a reminder of his failures. So off they went to paradise, leaving me with a social worker named Gladys who chain-smoked menthols and called me sweetie, like it erased the abandonment. I hung up without a word, but the hook was set. That night, dreams clawed their way back. The courtroom in Juvenile Hall, where a judge with jowls like a basset hound sentenced me to 2 years for arson. I was 12, scared shitless, but I'd confessed to torching the Harlan family boathouse on Lake Michigan. It was Dad's insurance scam gone wrong. He'd torched it himself to cover embezzlement from his firm, but when the cops came sniffing, he pinned it on me. Kids do crazy things for attention, he told the investigators, his voice dripping sympathy. Elena had coached me through the confession, her manicured nails digging into my arm as she whispered, "Say it, Isla, or we'll leave you for good." They did anyway. After the plea deal, foster care swallowed me whole. Bounced from home to home. I learned to fight dirty. Pickpocketing in alleys, hot-wiring cars for joyrides that ended in cuffs. By 16, I was emancipated, scraping by on waitressing gigs and community college classes. Law school was my middle finger to the world. University of Illinois Chicago, nights buried in torts while slinging drinks at a dive bar called the Rusty Anchor. Now, at 27, I defended the broken, but the mirror still showed a girl with Dad's green eyes and Elena's distrustful squint. The next morning, I drove out to their compound in Lake Forest, 3 acres of manicured lawns and wrought iron gates that screamed old money. The BMW purred under me, a used model I'd bought with my first real paycheck. As I punched in the gate code, still the same. 0909, my birthday, the bastard, while rose in my throat. The driveway looped like a noose, past fountains that burbled mockingly. Elena answered the door, looking every inch the ice queen at 55. Botox had frozen her face into perpetual surprise, but her eyes, cold as Lake Superior in January, widened fractionally. Isla, my God, you've grown. Into what exactly? I stepped inside without invitation, the foyer swallowing me in marble and crystal. It smelled like money and mothballs. Where's the prodigal father? She led me to the study, heels clicking like castanets. Dad was there, slumped in a leather wingback, a tumbler of scotch sweating on the side table despite it being barely 10 a.m. His hair had gone silver, face etched with lines that spoke of sleepless mergers and mistresses. He stood, arms outstretched like we were in some Hallmark reconciliation. Isla, honey. Don't. I slapped his hands away, the slap echoing off the bookshelves lined with first editions he'd never read. You don't get to honey me after what you did. He deflated, sinking back into the chair. Elena hovered by the door, arms crossed, a silent sentinel. We need your help, he said finally, voice gravelly. The firm's under investigation. SEC, IRS, you name it. They're digging into the old files, the ones from '98. The boathouse year. My confession had buried his theft. $500,000 skimmed from client pensions to fund Elena's vanity projects, a spa in Aspen, a yacht that sank off Key West. I'd taken the fall to protect the family, or so they spun it. Juvenile record sealed, but whispers lingered. Now, with Dad's empire teetering, Harlan Investments hemorrhaging after the 2008 crash and a string of bad bets, the past was resurfacing like a body in the shallows. Why me? I laughed, bitter as black coffee. You think I want to play savior? Elena stepped forward, her perfume cloying. Chanel No. 5, the scent of betrayal. Because you're clean, Isla. No scandals, no dirt. And you're a lawyer. We need you to testify. Vouch that it was all a misunderstanding. Juvenile mischief. Mischief. My voice rose, cracking the room's fragile peace. I lost my childhood, Elena. Foster shitholes where the dads thought bedtime stories came with strings attached. You two built this palace on my ruins. Dad's eyes glistened. Crocodile tears, I'd bet. I was protecting you. From the real wolves. If they'd gone after me, the whole family would have crumbled. Liar. The word hung there, a guillotine blade. But deep down, the hook twisted. Part of me, the broken 9-year-old, craved this. Not forgiveness, but power. The chance to rewrite the ending where I wasn't the villain in their fairy tale. I agreed to think about it. Drove back to the city with the radio blasting Springsteen, Born to Run, an anthem for the escaped. But sleep evaded me that night. Instead, I pulled out the shoebox from under my bed. Yellowed clippings, the sealed indictment I'd FOI'd years ago. A Polaroid of the boathouse smoldering under a harvest moon. Dad's handwriting on the back, for Isla's future. Bullshit. By dawn, the plan crystallized. Not testimony. Retribution. I'd play their game, dangle the carrot of salvation, then yank it away. Dig up the bones they'd buried, expose the rot. But revenge isn't clean. It's a mirror that shows your own fractures. And as I stared at my reflection, I wondered if I was saving myself or just becoming them. The first move was reconnaissance. I called in a favor from Tommy Ruiz, my old law school buddy turned PI, the kind of guy who could hack a mainframe while nursing a hangover. Isla, Mija, you sure about this? He asked over burner phones in a taqueria off Halstead, steam rising from carnitas like forbidden secrets. Dead sure. I slid him a retainer check, my savings gutted. Start with Elena. She's the puppet master. Tommy grinned, gold tooth flashing. Always was. Heard rumors, affairs, shell companies. Your pops? Clean as a whistle on paper, but that yacht didn't sink itself. 2 days later, files hit my inbox. Encrypted PDFs thicker than a Tolstoy novel. Elena's trail was a spiderweb. Offshore accounts in the Caymans, payoffs to regulators during the subprime mess. But the gem? A 1999 email chain. Dad to Elena, post-fire. The kid's confession holds. We're golden. Love you more than life. Love. The word curdled my gut. I'd been collateral, a scapegoat for their avarice. Deeper dives revealed more. Elena's first husband, vanished in '95, life insurance payout that seeded Harlan Investments. Suspicious drowning, ruled accidental. Dad had been her lawyer then, smoothed the edges, buried the doubts. I confronted them at a neutral spot. The pump room, Chicago's CNBC temple of velvet ropes and overpriced martinis. Dad fidgeted with his napkin. Elena sipped her Cosmo like it was communion wine. I've reviewed the docs, I said, sliding a folder across the linen. Fabricated, of course, testimony drafts laced with red flags. Dad's face lit up. You'll do it? God, Isla, I knew. On one condition. I leaned in, voice low. Full access. Every skeleton, every closet. Or I walk and you fry. Elena's fork paused midair, salmon flaking like her composure. What are you playing at, girl? Truth and Reconciliation, Mother Dearest. The title was acid on my tongue. Or is that too American for you? They bought it. Signed NDAs, handed over keys to the kingdom. Literally, a fob for the Lake Forest safe. That night, under cover of a thunderstorm that rattled the windows like divine judgment, I slipped in. The safe yielded ledgers, tapes, a flash drive humming with Elena's dirtiest deals, insider trading tips funneled through a network of escorts and executives. But the real poison? A video file, timestamped 1998. Grainy camcorder footage, the boathouse, Dad dousing it with accelerant, Elena holding the match. Me, off camera, sobbing as they rehearsed my lines. Say it right, Isla, or no Maui for any of us. I watched it loop, tears carving tracks down my cheeks. Not for them, for the girl I'd buried. Rage bloomed, hot and hybrid. Grief twisted into something sharper. The scheme escalated. I fed them half-truths, building their trust like a house of cards in a hurricane. Tommy tailed Elena to assignations. A senator in a Lincoln Park hotel, whispers of blackmail. Dad, meanwhile, unraveled. Anonymous tips to the feds, I'd planted through proxies, citing ethical concerns from a family insider. Paranoia set in. Dad called daily, voice fraying. Isla, you hear anything? Footsteps in the hall. Just ghosts, Dad. The ones you made. I'd hang up, heart pounding, the line between justice and vendetta blurring. Elena's flip came first. Over lunch at Girl and the Goat, trendy, exposed, my choice. She slid a check across the table. 6 figures, zeros mocking me. Walk away, Isla. This family's toxic. Take it, start fresh in Seattle or some podunk town. I pocketed it, smiling. Tempting. But blood's thicker than ink. Her eyes narrowed, the viper sensing the mongoose. That night, she struck. My apartment door splintered under a battering ram. Cops, badges flashing. Isla Harlan, you're under arrest for extortion and conspiracy. Elena's doing, no doubt. She'd lawyered up with a firm that owed her favors, spun my access as a shakedown. The precinct smelled of bleach and despair, cuffs biting my wrists as they read rights I'd recited 1,000 times. In holding, Tommy bailed me out, face grim. She's good, Isla. Planted evidence, your prints on forged docs. Rage crystallized into resolve. Bail hearing next morning, I walked, but the damage was done. Dad showed up, pale as a ghost, Elena absent. What have you done? He hissed in the hallway, lawyers flanking us like sentries. Me? I'm just the echo. I shoved the video USB into his chest. Watch it. Remember. He did, later that week, or so his frantic voicemail claimed. Isla, we can fix this. Family sticks together. But families fracture. I went underground, crashing at Tommy's Lincoln Square brownstone, plotting the endgame. The climax brewed in the Windy City's underbelly. A gala at the Art Institute, Harlan Investments' swan song fundraiser. Black ties, champagne flutes, the elite toasting their own reflections. I crashed it, uninvited, in a thrift store gown that hugged like armor. Dad spotted me first, blanching amid the Chihuly glass sculptures. Elena clung to his arm, diamonds winking like false stars. The speech was his, podium under the modern wing's stark lights, droning about legacy and redemption. Midway, I slipped to the AV booth, Tommy's hack, a ghost in the machine. The video rolled on the massive screens, flames licking wood, Elena's laugh, my child's voice breaking. I did it. I swear. Gasps rippled like dominoes. Phones whipped out, flashes popping. Dad froze, mic trembling. That's edited. Lies. Elena bolted for the exit, but security, tipped by me, swarmed. Ma'am, we need to talk about a 1995 disappearance. Chaos erupted, shouts, shattered glass from a toppled tray. I stood amid it, heart thundering, watching Dad's empire dissolve in pixels and panic. He lunged for me through the crowd, eyes wild. You bitch. This destroys us all. Good. I spat, close enough to smell his fierce sweat. Welcome to my world. Cops hauled him off stage, Elena in cuffs by the coat check. The gala devolved into a circus, guests fleeing, reporters swarming like locusts. I slipped out a side door, rain sluicing down Michigan Avenue, washing the makeup from my face. But revenge's aftertaste is ash. Tommy picked me up, radio crackling with updates, charges piling on. Arson, fraud, manslaughter for Elena's ex-dad lawyered up, but the video was viral, Harlan fire trending from coast to coast. Debate exploded online. Was I hero or heel? Daughter avenges stolen youth, cheered some. Vengeful psycho torches family name, snarled others. Pundits on Fox and MSNBC dissected it. My face blurred, but unmistakable. No one's hands are clean, one ethicist opined. Harlan built on bones. Isla just lit the match. Weeks blurred into hearings. I testified, voice steady, laying bare the betrayal. Dad's lawyer painted me as unstable, the foster kid with a grudge. Elena flipped, cutting a deal, pinned the drowning on Dad, claimed coercion in the fire. He made me. She sobbed on the stand, mascara rivers. And the girl, she was just in the way. Dad's eyes met mine across the courtroom, not hate, but something worse, recognition. We were mirrors, both architects of ruin. The twist hit like a gut shot. Sentencing day, June swelter turning the Cook County Courthouse into a sweatbox. Dad got 15, conspiracy, embezzlement. Elena, 10, with time served. Me? Charges dropped, immunity for the video. But as the gavel fell, a bailiff handed me an envelope, Dad's, scrawled in his shaky hand. Inside, a letter and a key. Isla, the lake house safe. It's yours. The truth you never knew. I drove north that night, past holes and taillights, to the old boathouse ruins, replaced by a sterile McMansion Dad had built post-fire. The safe yielded not cash, but files, my mom's autopsy report, doctored. Cause, suicide, not cancer. Elena's doing, poison to clear the path, Dad complicit, framing it to cash in on life insurance. And the kicker, a DNA test. Tucked in the folder, results from a discreet lab. I wasn't Dad's biological daughter. Elena's affair, the senator from the tapes. He'd known, raised me anyway, until the fire, when I became expendable. The road home stretched endless, Chicago's skyline a jagged scar. Vengeance tasted of victory, but hollow. I'd toppled them, but the throne was thorns. Call it justice? Or just another cycle of blood on the family tree? In the end, I burned it all, files, Polaroids, the envelope, in a steel drum behind Tommy's, flames dancing like old ghosts. No happy ever after, just a girl with green eyes staring at embers, wondering if redemption's just another lie we tell ourselves. The ashes cooled under a harvest moon, same as the night the boathouse went up. I stirred them with a stick, watching sparks lift like fireflies drunk on regret. Tommy watched from the porch, nursing a PBR, his silence a gift. "What's next, boss?" he finally asked, voice gravel from too many late nights. I wiped soot on my jeans, the DNA printout crinkling in my pocket like an accusation. Next, I disappear. New name, new city. Maybe Portland, rainy enough to drown the noise. He chuckled, low and knowing. "You think running erases it? That fire's in your blood now." He was right, of course. The next morning, headlines screamed from my laptop. Harlan heirs revenge. Empire in flames. Pundits picked sides like it was the Super Bowl. Team Isla, the plucky underdog toppling corrupt titans. Team Harlan, decrying familial terrorism, in op-eds that reeked of Old Boys Club cologne. My inbox overflowed. Interview requests from 60 Minutes. Death threats from Elena's socialite coven. One stood out. An email from an unknown. "We know what Richard hid. Meet at the Anchor. Midnight." The Rusty Anchor, my old haunt. Nostalgia or trap. I armed myself with pepper spray and paranoia, slipping in through the back amid the clink of glasses and jukebox wail of Johnny Cash. The Cinder waited at the corner booth, mid-40s, salt and pepper beard, suit off the rack, but eyes sharp as a switchblade. "Miss Harlan, or should I say Voss? Name's Marcus Hale, Elena's brother." Brother? The word landed like a live wire. I'd never heard of siblings in her porcelain narrative. He slid a beer my way, untouched. "She buried me deep. Disinherited after Mom died. Same poison trick, I suspect. Hired me to dig, same as you." We talked till last call, his story mirroring mine. Abandoned kin, whispers of drownings and deals. Elena's web stretched further. A Ponzi scheme in the 80s that ruined his folks, Dad's firm laundering the proceeds. "She's the devil in Louboutins," Marcus said, clinking bottles. "But Richard? He was her Faust. Sold his soul, then yours." Alliance formed over greasy diner eggs at dawn. Marcus had assets, offshore leads, a whistleblower network of jilted Harlan employees. "We finish what you started," he proposed. "Not just jail, ruin. Strip their legacies bare." Temptation gnawed. I'd thought the gala was climax. But revenge is hydra-headed. Lop 1, 2 grow back. I nodded, sealing it with a handshake that felt like pacts with the devil. The plan: infiltrate the remnants. Dad's appeal hearing loomed, Elena's too, coordinated in federal court, a circus of suits and stenographers. I went legit first, petitioned to unseal my juvenile records, turning victim into voice. Media ate it up, from Foster to Fury. My face on CNN, voice modulated for podcasts spilling the tea on Betrayal's bitter brew. Public opinion swung my way, polls in the Tribune showing 62% sympathetic to Isla. Protests outside the courthouse, placards reading "Justice for the Discarded." Counter-protesters waved "Family First" signs, Elena's Botox brigade in pearls and spite. Inside, the courtroom was theater, Dad shackled but dapper, Elena a ghost in orange jumpsuit, hair limp without product. Her flip deepened, testifying against him for leniency, painting Dad as the mastermind. He forced the fire, the confession. I was scared. For us, for the baby we lost. Baby? The gallery murmured. Dad's head snapped up, eyes locking on her like a betrayed hound. You lying. Order. The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. I sat in the back, anonymous in a hoodie, hard a war drum. Marcus texted from the overflow room. She's dangling the miscarriage to sway the jury. Emotional jury rigging. The real bomb dropped during cross. Elena's lawyer produced affidavits, sworn statements from witnesses claiming I'd orchestrated the gala hack, bribed security. The daughter wasn't victim. She was vigilante. Gasps again. Dad's gaze found me. Not fury now, but a plea. Help me. I slipped out, nausea churning. Was this her counterpunch? Or Dad's, through proxies? Paranoia peaked. I ghosted Tommy, holing up in a no-tell motel off I-90, walls thin as promises, neighbors arguing in Spanglish. That's when the dreams intensified. 9-year-old me, match in hand, Elena's voice cooing. Light it, sweetie. Make Daddy proud. I'd wake sweating, the DNA test mocking from the nightstand. Not his daughter. Then whose? Elena's shame, pawned off on a man too weak to question. Marcus tracked me down 2 days later, pounding the door till I cracked it. We hit back, now. He had the motherlode. Elena's prison calls, transcribed. She'd called a fixer, voice silk over static. Handle the girl. Quiet. Like Victor. Victor, the ex-husband. Drowned, not accidental. My blood ran cold. She's gunning for me. Damn right. But we expose her first. Plan B. Leak the calls to ProPublica, anonymous drop. By evening, it was live. Harlan scandal deepens. Murder plot alleged. Pandemonium. Elena's deal evaporated. Solitary for her. Dad's appeal stalled. Appeals for mercy drowned in the deluge. Reporters camped my motel's parking lot. But I was gone. Slipped to a safe house in Oak Park. Hemingway's old haunt. Irony thick as fog. There, alone with takeout lo mein and laptop glow, doubt crept in. Marcus's eyes had hunger, not just justice, a brother's grudge mirroring mine. But what if his web tangled me tighter? Calls from Tommy. Isla, this Hale guy's shady. Ex-con, did time for fraud. You sure? Sure? Hell no. But momentum's a drug, high on the edge of abyss. The next flip, Dad's letter from prison, smuggled via a guard Tommy greased. Pages yellowed, handwriting cramped. Isla, the test was a lie. Elena's ploy to break us. You're mine, blood or not. Forgive me. Or end it. End it. The words echoed, a siren's call. I drove to Statesville Correctional under cover of a nor'easter, wipers slapping like accusations. Visitor's room, plexiglass divide, Dad's face gaunt through the haze. Why now? I pressed the receiver, voice muffled. He leaned close, breath fogging the barrier. Because she wins if we hate. The baby? Real. Miscarried after the fire. Stress, Doc said. Blamed you in my weakness. You blamed me first. Tears pricked, unwelcome. The confession, the abandonment. I know. His voice broke, first real crack. But the drowning, Elena's alone. I covered for love, blind idiot. Help me fight her testimony. Be my witness. Witness. The irony twisted like a knife. Me, vouching for the man who'd sold me out? Controversial didn't cover it. It was Shakespearean. Antigone meets Macbeth. I left without answering, snow whipping as I gunned the engine. Back at the safe house, Marcus waited, bourbon in hand. Heard you visited. Stockholm kicking in. Fuck you. I snatched the bottle, glugging fire. What's your angle, really? Brotherly love or the payout? He laughed, bitter. Both. Elena's estate. Half mine if she falls. But you? You're the wild card. Finish this, we split. Split. Like the family I'd torched. That night, decision loomed. Ally with Dad. Expose Elena solo, or let Marcus pull strings. Sleep came fitful, dreams of flames and fetuses, a chorus of what-ifs. Dawn brought clarity, or madness. I called Tommy. Pull everything on Hale. Deep dive. By noon. Dirt. Marcus wasn't brother. Half sib from Elena's affair. Yes, but he'd forged the disinheritance claim. Con man, grifting off her shadow. He's using you, Isla, Tommy urged. To bleed the corpse dry. Rage redirected. I confronted Marcus at a Loop coffee shop, steam rising like unspoken threats. You're out. He smirked, stirring sugar. Too late. I leaked the calls, with your name attached. Feds are coming. Betrayal's echo, round 2. I bolted, sirens wailing in my wake. Not for me, but the city erupting anew. News alerts pinged. Harlan daughter implicated in leaks. Hunted now fully. I vanished into the undergrid, friends of friends with couches and secrets. The climax brewed not in court, but shadows. Elena's trial, fast-tracked. I watched remote, streamed illegally, hard in throat. She took the stand, transformed. Remorseful waif, tears scripted. I was trapped. Richard, Isla, they both pushed. Jury leaned in, wrapped. Then, my Hail Mary. Anonymous packet to the DA. Victor's real autopsy, procured via Tommy's underground. Poison confirmed, Elena's prints on the vial. Mid-testimony, the prosecutor interrupted. Your Honor, new evidence. Courtroom froze. Elena's mask slipped, pure venom. That bitch. Me, miles away, smiled grim. But the hook twisted. Dad's testimony followed, via video link. Elena did it all. I protected Isla from her. Protected. The lie that birthed me. Jury deliberated 3 days, Chicago holding breath. Verdict. Elena, guilty, life, no parole. Dad, reduced to 8, with cooperation credit. Cheers from my proxy crowd, but hollow. Marcus vanished, pockets lined with leaks sold to tabloids. Tommy clapped my back. You did it, kid. Did I? The mirror showed a woman hollowed, eyes like Dad's, green, haunted. Public split wider. Vigilante justice triumphs. Versus enabler enables. Isla's no saint. And the final twist? A postcard, postmarked Statesville. Dad's scrawl. The lake house deed, yours. Build something new. Or burn it. I drove there at twilight, key trembling. Inside, not ruins, but potential. Walls bare, windows framing the lakes in different shimmer. The DNA test? Forged, as he claimed. A locket in the drawer held my baby photo, mom's inscription, Richard's girl, always. Blood or not, ties bind. I didn't burn it. Sat on the dock till stars wheeled, weighing endings. Happy? Tragic? Just American, messy, unforgiving, alive with ghosts. But revenge's bill comes due. Months later, whispers reached me. Elena's cellmate, paid off, a shank in the dark. Suicide, they ruled. Dad paroled early, frail shadow seeking amends. I met him once, coffee in a neutral Starbucks, no hugs, just words. Forgive, not yet, but the knife in my smile. Sheathed, maybe forever. Or not. As he walked away, my phone buzzed, unknown number. Isla Voss. We have questions about Victor. The web spun on. Family trees bleed eternal. The call hung like smoke after a backfire. I stared at the screen, pulse sinking with the barista's espresso hiss. Victor's name, a specter I'd banished, resurfacing like oil on water. Who were we? Feds. Elena's ghosts. Or Marcus, that snake, slithering back for seconds? I bolted the coffee shop, weaving through loop pedestrians bundled against November's bite. Dad's cab taillights vanished into traffic, oblivious. My burner, Tommy's gift, vibrated again, same number. I answered on the third ring, voice steady as a jury's glare. Harlan speaking. A chuckle, low and lacquered. Cute. But it's Voss blood calling you home, Isla. Female, East Coast clip, Boston? Name's Lydia. Victor's sister. Elena's first victim wasn't her only. Sister. The word was a plague now, kin crawling from woodwork. Lydia spun her yarn over encrypted line. Victor's drowning, a setup, Elena caching policies while Lydia, then a grad student, pieced the puzzle too late. She framed me for theft, his accounts drained. I did 18 months in Framingham. Now, with her gone, I'm collecting. Collecting. My skin prickled. And me? Collateral again. Partner, if you're smart. I have proof, tapes, transfers. Enough to nail Richard for accessory. But I need your voice. The daughter who burned it down. Temptation's old friend, dressed in opportunity. Dad's protection, rang hollower. If he'd known about Victor's murder, covered deeper than arson. I agreed to meet. Neutral ground. A diner in Joliet, halfway to nowhere. Lydia waited in a vinyl booth, 40s like weathered leather. Eyes Elena's, but scarred with survival. Tattoos peeked from her cuffs, roses and thorns, feminist ink from the clink. Over pie and black coffee, she laid cards. Victor's last letter, postmarked days before the lake. Elena pushed him literally. Richard watched from the dock, then doctored the report. For her. The pieces slotted, Dad's silence post-fire, Elena's grip tightening. Why now? I asked, fork-scraping plate. She smiled, crooked. Timing. Your circus cracked the vault, files unsealed, associates flipping. But you're the key. Testify with me, we bury him for good. Bury. The verb echoed my dreams. I signed on, a digital pact over lukewarm Joe. Back in Oak Park, the safe house felt claustrophobic, walls closing like courtroom bars. Tommy arrived at dusk, pizza box steaming, face thunderous. Another player? Isla, you're building a goddamn Voltron of vendettas. Or an army. I paced, Lakeview mocking serenity. Dad covered murder. That's not betrayal. That's blood on his hands. Tommy sighed, grease-slicked slice pausing. And you? Hands clean? The gala, the leaks, DA sniffing around immunity breaches. He was right. The high of victory soured. Every win birthed a shadow. That night, insomnia gripped, radio murmuring NPR scandals. Another Politico down, echoes of Harlan. Sleep came fractured, Elena in orange, laughing. You were always the spare. Dawn brought action. Lydia and I coordinated. Her with East Coast contacts, me local. We fed the DA drips, Victor's talk screen, Richard's signature on the coroner's accident cert. Leaks hit the Sun-Times. Harlan hid husband's murder. Dad called from parole, voicemail, voice ready. Isla, stop this. It was Mercy, Victor begged, cancer eating him. Elena, exaggerated. Mercy killing? The twist knotted my gut. I drove to Statesville unannounced, visitor log fudged by Tommy's charms. Plexiglass again, Dad's eyes bloodshot, parole paunch straining the jumpsuit. Mercy, I hissed into the phone. You drowned a man and let me burn for your fire? He sagged, forehead to glass. Victor was terminal, pancreatic, 6 months max. He asked Isla, clean end, insurance for Elena's dreams. I facilitated. Then she twisted it, the policies, the lies. Facilitated. Euphemism for complicit. And me? The fall guy for arson to cover what? Weakness. Tear tracked his cheek. Thought a juvenile slap would shield you from her rage. Wrong. Always wrong. Pity flickered, unbidden, for the man who'd built empires and crumbled under one woman's heel. Lydia wants blood. Testify, or I let her. His laugh was dust. Do it. End the cycle. But know this, the locket? Your mom's. She knew about Elena's affair before Victor. Suspected the poison. Told me to protect you. Poison. Mom's cancer. The room spun. You let her die? No. Desperate. I confronted Elena, threatened exposure. That's why the fire. She torched it to destroy evidence, framed you to tie my hands. Truth or tapestry of lies. I left numb, Joliet bound for Lydia. She waited, files spread like a blackjack table. He confess. Spins. I slid the recording, hidden phone trick. Lydia's eyes lit, predatory. Good. We move. Press conference, your face front. Controversy crested. The presser, Chicago's City Hall steps, snow flurrying like confetti from hell. Cameras blinded, mics thrust like spears. Lydia spoke first. Justice delayed for Victor Voss, murdered by greed. Then me. My father watched. Covered. I was the child they sacrificed. Voice cracked on sacrificed, raw as open wound. Pandemonium. Shouts. Traitor. from Dad's old cronies. Cheers from victims' rights crowd. Online, wars waged. Avenge Victor versus Harlan Innocent. Memes of me as Lady Justice with a Molotov. Pundits debated. Isla's crusade righteous or reckless? No heroes in this hamlet. Dad's response. Public letter, Tribune full page. Isla, my daughter in heart if not blood. Yes, the affair was real, but Victor's end was consensual. Elena's sin, not mine. Forgive, or free us both. Free. The word haunted drives home, wipers slashing doubt. Lydia pushed harder. Sue him civilly, wrongful death suit. Millions, plus vindication. Vindication. Or vengeance eternal. Tommy pulled me aside post-presser, Garfield Park's conservatory, a glass eaten amid chaos. This woman's using you, same as Marcus. Her proof? Half digital, easy to fake. Doubt-seated. I dug solo. Nights in library basements, microfiche ghosts. Victor's obit, no mention of cancer. Medical records, subpoenaed via back channels, clean bill weeks prior. Lydia lied. Twisted mercy into murder for her payout. Victor's estate, contested since '95. Rage redirected, third flip. Confrontation in a South Side bar, neon buzzing luck, oh the Irish irony. Lydia nursed a gin, eyes narrowing. Doubts Isla. Fakes. I slapped the records down. No cancer. You grift me. She laughed, ice clinking. Survival. Elena took everything. Why not reclaim? Join. Or jail. Jail. Threat veiled. I walked, but not alone. Tommy's PI tail caught her calling a fixer. Echoes of Elena. The storm broke. I went public, recanting on a local NPR slot. New evidence. Lydia Voss fabricated claims. My father's role. Complicated, but not criminal. Backlash tsunami. Betrayal accusations. Isla the flip-flopper. Dad's supporters crowed vindication. Victims decried sellout. Lydia vanished. Charges pending. Fraud. Extortion. Dad paroled fully. A quiet ceremony I skipped. Postcard followed. Proud kid. Lake house waits. But the real climax? Elena's suicide. Autopsy leaked. Shank wound staged. Real killer a guard on her payroll. Last act. Frame me. Posthumous. Note in her cell. Isla finished it. Feds knocked at dawn. Badges gleaming. Routine questions. Miss Harlan. Routine my ass. Interrogation room. Coffee stale. Questions barbed. You visited Statesville. Any. Discussions. Family reunion. I lawyered up. Tommy's firm. Pro bono grit. Alibis held. No prints on the shank. Cleared after 48 hell hours. Outside, Dad waited in a rented Prius, looking every inch the penitent. Knew she'd try. Hired protection. Too late. Protection. Again. We drove in silence. To the lake house. Inside, walls primed white, a fresh start canvas. Stay, he said. Or go. Your call. I stayed. Nights talking, excavating ruins. Mom's poison. Elena's solo sin. Dad's ignorance bliss. Victor? Assisted, consensual, gray as Chicago winters. Public faded. Book deals dangled, I demurred. Instead, pro bono expanded, defending the framed, the Foster flotsam. Tommy partnered, Marcus a footnote in warnings. Twist shadow. Lydia surfaced months later, plea deal for testimony. Isla's the real monster, drove Elena to despair. Debate reignited, dinner tables dividing anew. Me? No saint, no sinner, just survivor, roots tangled in blood-soaked soil. Ending? Not tidy. Dad and I, uneasy truce. Thanksgiving turkeys burned, laughs tentative. Happy? In fractures. Tragic? In truths unearthed. But as spring thawed the lake, I stood on the dock, locket warm against skin. Mom's eyes in mine, green, unyielding. The tree bled, but saplings sprout. Spring's thaw brought more than greening lawns. It unearthed bones long submerged. The lake house dock creaked under my weight, water lapping like unanswered questions. Dad's truce held fragile. Mornings of black coffee on the porch, silences filled with half-spoken regrets. Pass the cream, he'd say, and I'd slide it over, our fingers brushing like olive branches dipped in acid. Lydia's plea splashed small. Sidebar in the trib, Voss' sister spills on Harlan air. Her testimony? Smoke, allegations of my manipulation. Elena's despair pinned on my gallistant. No traction. Public fatigue set in, scandal shifting to fresher meat. A crypto crash, celeb implosion. But whispers lingered, vines choking my inbox. Killer's kin. Anonymous tips to my firm's hotline. Tommy noticed first, over ribs at Lem's barbecue, sauce staining his tie. You're jumpy, chica. Sleep. Like a baby in a blender. I wiped my mouth, Lakeview distant through the window. Lydia's out. House arrest, but eyes everywhere. He nodded, slow. Cut bait. New city, new life. Portland's got breweries and no Harlans. Tempting, that escape hatch. But roots, twisted, thorny, held fast. The firm thrived, cases stacking. A kid framed for his stepdad's meth lab. Echoes of my 12-year-old self. Fight smart, I'd tell them, voice steady. Inside. Quicksand. Dad's health dipped. Prostate scare, scans and specialists. I drove him to Northwestern. Waiting room a purgatory of outdated magazines. If it's bad, he muttered, gown papery. Tell him no heroics. Seen enough machines. Shut up. I gripped his hand, bones brittle. You're not dying on my watch. Biopsy clean, benign, doc said. Relief cracked my armor. That night, over takeout pad thai, we cracked beers. To survivors, he toasted, foam clinging his mustache. Survivors. The word warmed, tentative thaw. But Elena's ghost prowled. Parcel arrived unmarked. Manila envelope, postmarked Boston. Inside, photos, grainy, time-stamped last year. Me at the gala, slipping to AV, Dad and Victor on that dock, 95, shadows merging. Note, Lydia's scrawl. Whole truth hurts. Your move. Truth? Or trap? I called Tommy. Deep fake check. Lab rats at UIC confirmed. Doctored, pixels screaming Photoshop. But the intent? Psychological shank, twisting the knife post-mortem. Response, Counterstrike. I pinned an op-ed for the Reader, alt-weekly grit, Beyond the Flames, Why Family Secrets Devour Us All. No names, but subtext screamed Harlan. Published Friday, it went viral in niche circles, therapy TikToks, Reddit r/true crime, threads debating Isla's arc, redemption or relapse. Debate fueled fundraisers, victims' rights gala, my reluctant keynote. Podium under chandeliers, crowd expectant. Betrayal isn't a plot point, I said, voice echoing. It's the scar that teaches us to fight. Applause thundered, but back row? A face, Marcus Hale, beard trimmed, eyes gleaming. He cornered me post-speech, coat check shadows. Nice monologue, but unfinished business. Out. I sidestepped, pulse spiking. He blocked, breath minty. Lydia hired me, cleanup. But seeing you. Poetic. Split the pot? Elena's residuals, royalties from that docuseries. Docuseries? Netflix pitch, unapproved. My life, dramatized. Over my corpse. His laugh chilled. Already half buried. Security bounced him, but sleep fled. Dreams, docs and drownings. Lydia's voice merging Elena's. Spare parts, Isla. Always. Dawn decision. End it. Tracked Lydia via Tommy's net, suburban crash pad, monitored bracelet chafing. I drove solo, no backup, adrenaline a live wire. Doorbell chimed, her silhouette through peephole. She opened cautious, robe terry cloth, hair mussed. Harlan spawn. Bull. Talk. I pushed in, foyer cramped with unpacked boxes, new life, half begun. Kitchen table, herbal tea steaming, irony. The photos, childish. She shrugged, stirring honey. Warning shot. You exposed me. Fair play. Fair. Laughter escaped, sharp. You fake murder for a payday. Victor deserved better. Eyes flashed. First real emotion. He deserved life. Elena stole it. Pushed him, laughing. I clawed back what I could. Claw. The word hung. And Dad. Mercy or murder? Lydia sipped, steam veiling. Both. Victor begged, pain too much. Richard held him under, gentle. Then covered, for her. Complicit as sin. Sin. The gray deepened. No black-white, just shades of desperation. Why me? Why drag the kid into your grudge? Kid. She leaned in, tea forgotten. You torched their world. Thought you'd join the hunt. Miscalculated. You're soft, like him. Soft. The insult stung true. I stood, chair scraping. War's over. Drop the series, the threats. Or I testify. Your forgeries, full exposure. She rose too, inches apart, mirror of that alley prompt, fury and plea. Go ahead. But no. Elena had a daughter. Miscarried, yes, but frozen embryos. Stored in Chicago fertility. Heirs to the venom. Embrys. The bomb. Dad's. Victor's likely. But Richard funded. Your half-sibs, thawing someday. I left reeling, highway blurring. Half-sibs, more branches on the poison tree. Dad at the lake house, oblivious, grilling brats. Rough day. Worse. Over dinner, I spilled. Lydia, photos, the embryos. He paled, fork dropping. Knew about storage, post-miscarriage. Elena's dream, legacy. I forgot. Forgot. The negligence epic. Destroy them? Can't. Legal minefield, consent, ethics. He rubbed temples. Or, let them be. New start, untainted. Untainted. Dream or delusion. Weeks spun. Lawyers consulted. Ethicists debated. Public caught wind. Leaks, again, headlines. Harlan embryo drama. Designer revenge. Polls divided sharper. Pro-lifers decrying Frankenbabies. Feminists cheering choice over curse. Me? Nauseous. The weight of unborn ghosts. Climax crested in boardroom sterility. Fertility clinic. Docs in white. Charts glowing. Dad and I, uneasy duo. Options. The counselor droned. Donate. Destroy. Gestate. Gestate. Surrogate whispers. But no. The cycle's curse. Destroy. I said, voice final. Dad nodded, tears silent. End it. Papers signed. Embryos thawed. Sterile mercy, no docs or shanks. Certificate arrived. Disposition complete. Relief? Or another scar? Lydia called post-procedure. Heard. Noble. Or cowardly. Survival. Click. Summer baked the lake. Barbecues with Tommy's crew. Normality's veneer. Dad mellowed. Volunteering at the firm. Mentoring my clients. Stories swapped like war tales. Twists coda. Fall equinox. Package from Statesville. Elena's effects. Auctioned. Inside. Diary. Leatherbound. Pages brittle. Entries chronicled it all. Affairs spark. Victor's plea. Mom's poisoning. Necessary excision. My framing. The spare. Useful fool. The miscarriage. Our perfect girl. Stolen by fire's stress. Last page. Isla wins. But blood calls blood. Thaw them. Let her rot in echoes. Echoes. The diary burned that night. Doc flames low. Dad watching. She was broken, he murmured. We all were. Broken. The word absolved, partially. No happy ending. Life's not script, but truce deepened. Thanksgivings without tension. Holidays haunted but shared. Public faded to footnote. Docuseries canned. Lawsuits quashed. I ran for local office. Public defender to alderwoman. Platform. Justice for the invisible. Election night. Polls closing. Dad at my side. Tommy toasting with shots. Win narrow. Controversial. Opponents cried scandal baggage. But victory sweet. Flaws and all. Final twist. Winter solstice. Clinic call. Error in disposition. One viable. Cryo failure spared it. 1. The tree sprouts anew. Dad's eyes meet mine. Your call. I pause. Lake frozen. Reflection fractured. Destroy? Raise? Donate to stranger's dream? Debate eternal. Readers, you'd argue. Mercy or madness? Right or reckless? Me? I choose thaw. Not gestate. Surrogate anonymous. Child raised free of Harlan shadows. Boy, born screaming under July stars. Green eyes like mine, unscarred. Dad holds him first. Tears real. Grandpa's boy. Cycle breaks? Or bends? Blood on the tree, but sap flows fresh. In America's grit, betrayals, redemptions, endless arguments, we endure. Messy, divided, alive.